It's 2 days before Christmas. It's my boyfriend's birthday. My parents, who we're staying with, are currently living in a rented house in the middle of nowhere in the rural northeast of England. They're living there for 6 months because their regular house, which is also in the middle of nowhere in the rural northeast of England, has been flooded a few months previously, and they've had to move out while the entire ground floor is industrially dried out and recarpeted and redecorated. Everything, thankfully, is being paid for by the insurance company, but it's still been pretty stressful. This rented house that they're living in has these long, thick, floor-to-ceiling curtains that are supposed to keep the draft out and the heat in, not always successfully. And it has an oven that is too small for a turkey. And my boyfriend, who has never spent Christmas away from his family before, has never spent his birthday away from his family before, has come up with me to Northumberland so that we can all rally round and have a really nice family Christmas after what has been quite a difficult year. Now, my boyfriend and I have been arguing quite a lot recently, but we're keeping a lid on it while we're around family. In fact, the night before, we went out for dinner and we were talking about everything and talking through things and about where we were going, and at some point during this conversation, I made clear, or I thought I had made clear, that while I really wanted to work at this relationship and keep going with this, I just wanted to put the brakes on making any big commitments together, like buying a flat together or getting married or any of the other things that you might start thinking of doing after you've been together for a while. And he leans across the table and he takes my hand and he looks me in the eye and he says, "We can take as long as I want and there's no pressure. And don't worry," he says, "I'm not going to ask you to marry me tomorrow." So you can imagine my surprise the next morning when I wake up and there he is, sitting up in bed, holding out a ring box and giving me this whole speech about how he really loves me and he wants us to be together and he wants us to get married. Months later, I would recognise this for the incredibly manipulative behaviour that it actually was. But right then, in that moment, with this person that I loved right in front of me, all my resolve from the previous night just vanished. Somewhere inside me, there was a voice that was saying, "No, you don't want this. You said in as many words that you didn't want this. And he doesn't have the right to say that he's not going to do this and then turn around and put you under all that pressure." But then I imagined saying the word no, having to look him in the eye and say it. Having to say it and then having to go outside this room and tell my family what had happened and spend the next few days trying to have a normal Christmas. Or saying the word no, going outside and not telling my family what had happened and having to spend the next few days pretending that nothing had happened and everything was fine. Or, alternatively, I could say no and then he might leave, either permanently, meaning there was no more chance to try and mend this relationship, or just for a little while to get some space. But either way, he would still have to spend 6 hours driving to the other end of the country on his birthday to go and see his family and then to have to tell them what had happened. And, when I took a step back and thought about it, we'd been together for quite a long time and things hadn't been great recently, but we'd been having these really grown-up conversations about it. And my family really liked him and his family seemed to like me. And my friends all thought that, it was really great that he'd wanted to move in together so soon and that he'd told me that he loved me so early in our relationship and it's so romantic. And I have been really upset recently for no reason that I can figure out. And he's so stable and sensible and rational, and he has this very sensible job, and I'm still flailing around trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. And maybe I'm just, not in a great place to be making decisions, to jettison this relationship that everyone around me seems to think is such a good thing. And so when I line up all these things against this little voice inside me, I just think maybe that little voice is just me being what I was calling at the time, quote unquote, crazy, and that maybe things would be better if I just said yes. So I said yes. And everyone was very happy. We opened a lot of bottles of champagne over the course of the next few weeks as we went around telling all our families and friends. And, a lot of positive validation, and I felt like I've done the right thing here. I will spare you the details of the long, slow, painful breakdown, first of the engagement, and then of the relationship. Suffice it to say that if you find yourself on the internet, browsing wedding forums, obsessively reading all the posts on the second thoughts page, and then deleting your browser history before your partner gets there. This is probably a sign that A, you don't really want to get married, and B, you don't really trust your partner. Ditto if you find yourself on websites called things like, and I swear I'm not making this up, youarenotcrazy.com, reading all about the signs of emotional abuse and finding that some of them resonate just a bit too much. But this is not a story about him, and it is not a story about all the ugly things that happened in that relationship. This is a story about how, even though I told that little voice inside me that it would be much more convenient if it would just shut up and let me handle things because I was doing so well, it kept trying to tell me that something wasn't right. And I didn't know on a conscious level, but on a subconscious level, I knew that there was something wrong. And my body knew, my gut knew, even my skin knew before I did. Then one day, about 6 months after this Christmas, I came home and I had the house to myself. And suddenly, just all of me knew at once. It was indescribably peaceful. I made dinner without anyone criticizing me and telling me how I was doing it wrong. And I ate outside in the garden in the evening sunshine. And then when I was done, I went inside, I washed up, and I went upstairs and put some things in a bag. And I walked to the train station, and I got on the train, and I went to London, and I arrived at some very antisocial hour on a weeknight on the doorstep of two of my close friends. And they invited me in. They made me a cup of tea, because we're British, and that is what we do in these moments of great crisis. And they made up the sofa bed for me, and they told me I could stay as long as I needed to. And so I stayed there for 2 more weeks while I tried to find a flat in London and tried to figure out what the hell I wanted to do next. But it wasn't easy. I still cried a lot, and I spent a lot of time in bed watching The West Wing. But all of that effort and all of the energy and all of the love that I had been pouring in to try and make that relationship work, trying to carry his emotional baggage that he didn't want to deal with himself, and trying to pretend to myself and to everyone around me that everything was fine, everything's fine. All of that was freed up for me to focus on myself. I read a lot. I wrote in my journal a lot. I did a lot of yoga. I mean, sometimes I just went to my yoga class and lay on the floor for an hour and a half, but that helped. It helped. People I hadn't seen for months or sometimes years would call me up and invite me out for coffee or dinner and awkwardly ask me if I was doing all right and was there anything they could do to help. I reconnected with a lot of old friends, and London was having this amazing heat wave at that time, and it was just really hot and sunny every day, which is very unusual for anyone who spent any length of time in Britain. And so we just spent so much time in parks, either on my own book or with friends, having picnics and drinking wine. I moved into this bohemian flat in North London with activists and poets and postgraduate students, and we used to watch episodes of Sex and the City and deconstruct them. I quit my job and started a master's in anthropology of food, and I auditioned for a very competitive choir, and I got in, and I just felt incredibly supported by all the people around me, and very nourished by being able to throw myself into all these activities that I loved. And 10 months later, on the 10th of April 2010, so 7 years ago tomorrow, the day that I was supposed to be getting married, I threw a party for my housemates and my closest friends. They all came over to our house, and I cooked dinner, and we opened some cheap carver and my half of the homemade blackberry wine that I've made with my ex and we were going to serve at the wedding. And we toasted to making good life choices. And as I looked around the table at these people who had been with me on this very peculiar journey, and who I was privileged to call my friends, I had two thoughts. The first thought was that love doesn't always look like people tell you it's going to look like. And happiness isn't always found in the things that everyone tells you you're going to find it in. And that's okay. And moreover, it's probably a good thing to have learned by the age of 27. And the second thought I had was that little voice inside me, the one that had screamed the truth when I didn't want to hear it, and didn't give up, even though I kept trying to ignore it, it had been looking out for me all along, and I resolved that in future I was going to pay more attention to it. Thank you.